new Fast and the Furious movie.
I've been telling y'all about this for 6 years, and nobody has been listening to me. I did not know that Statham was tagged on for this. But
that's what I'm saying. I didn't know.
But I've told y'all from the start that the second that The Rock signed on for the Fast and the Furious, that at some point he was going to get his own solo
But I don't
movie.
understand how Statham is like working with him though. I thought.
Did you not watch the fucking commercial? Also, this commercial came out a couple days before the Super Bowl.
I didn't really pay attention too much, but there was a lot of talking. But I was like, hold up, what the fuck is going on with Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham working together? I was like,
it's the same. First thing, it's the exact same thing they were supposed to do in the last movie when they got out the prison scene, and we figured out The Rock was a legitimate superhero. And then the idea, it's the same thing. They both know how to track people. They always get their guy.
They always get the guy.
It's the only difference between getting the entire fucking family is all they need is them two. That's it. And my only thing about this is the Fast and the Furious now having a universe in idea is the idea now that they can branch off movies, which actually the idea is this universe started before this. Yeah. If you look up the Fast and the Furious, Han was in a different movie before the Fast and the Furious 2.
Oh.
I'm gonna let that go for a little bit, let people understand that. But yeah, there's another movie that this has happened before the Fast and the Furious. Han.
Yeah, Hans would be dead, right?
Is that the name of the movie?
What? And then by the what? Fourth one or third?
No, I'm saying that Han was in a movie before the Fast and the Furious.
What?
Yeah, he was in his character was used in a different movie before the Fast and the Furious. And
all right, I don't know what Italian Job like is they like trying to like pull from stretch from like the early 2000s. What?
Better Luck Tomorrow is the name of the movie.
I don't remember that.
But his character is in a movie called Better Luck Tomorrow that came out in 2002. That was
his name. Han, he did the same thing.
It's the exact same character.
He's a drifter.
He was part of like an Asian street gang in LA.
Oh. He was drifting and shit?
No, it had nothing to do with cars.
So he was like, I don't do that shit.
It was like him as a kid.
Oh.
But it was the same guy that played the role, same character. It was just like him as a younger him.
Was he named Han then?
Yeah, it was the exact same name.
So this whole thing is really
based off of this one movie.
Well, Fast and Furious, everything.
No.
Everything's based off of Han.
This movie is based on the only reason this happened, and I do have an understanding why this happened. Because this happened because of the director of Tokyo Drift and the 3 movies after Tokyo Drift directed this movie.
Okay.
So he doesn't have anything to do with the first 2 movies. I'm not going to say that this was planned from the first 2 movies. I'm just saying that there are multiple movies that do connect into the Fast and the Furious.
So
franchise.
is Han really dead then?
Yes.
No, are you serious? Wait, hold on. What? He made the movie around Han in the first place. What are you talking about? He's not dead.
That was not the point of what I just said. Han is dead. Han better be dead. Han is my favorite character in the Fast and the Furious.
So he better be dead? What? Whoa.
Because I always knew he had to die. That was always my fuck Han Solo. Y'all know what Han Solo is the second-rate Han compared to Han for the Fast and the Furious.
Get out of here. All right. What if he got out of the car and went into like a?
Did you watch the end of Tokyo Drift?
Doesn't it?
He was underneath the car when it was on fire.
He could have crawled out. There could have been like a manhole. He like crawled under it.
Boom.
End the movie. You didn't see nothing.
And the thing blew up, and there's a manhole movie.
There's a manhole. Yeah, there is one.
That whole premise.
It's been done before.
It's a movie.
Ninja Turtles 3.
I knew he was going to say that. If you have almost broken your neck in a car crash, there's no way in fucking hell you're lifting up a manhole cover.
It was already up because the way the crash.
That's why he crashed and knocked it off.
Yeah.
Solo.
Come on, he's the main character.
He was not the main character. He wasn't even the main character of Tokyo Drift.
He wasn't. Does that guy even come back?
In the beginning of the 7th movie, he's there for 30 seconds.
Oh.
Bad enough they don't even the worst part of
Mexican dudes. They back for.
You know what? You're like my brother because my brother really liked the Mexican dudes that used to argue a lot.
They was original.
Actually, I think they were Dominican, but yeah.
Tyrese and Luda. I was cool with Tyrese and Luda took their position, but I'm like.
Oh, because the part where they were arguing about the cooking is like one of the if you're a fan of the Fast and Furious, that argument about his ribs, I think it was cooking ribs. Mm-hmm. That shit was one of the small classic moments where it's like he's like, "What? I'll pay after they did the heist. Like, I'll pay for you to be able to."
Like, I'm spend all my money on cooking recipes. Like, what? Where are they?
So no,
yeah.
That means they dead, just like that one chick, Wonder Woman now.
Shit.
But Yeah, now there's to me the idea of the Rock Hobbs movie opens up the opportunity for the solo Tyrese Luda movie. Again, I think the whole universe. He don't even know what to do. He wants to write something. He has no clue what he's about to write down right now. Yep. Dot. He don't know.
I don't even know.
That came out of my mouth, and he's like, I don't even know.
Who's gonna be in that movie? Who's gonna be the bad guy? Exhibit? Who's gonna? Yeah.
The most pimp ride ever.
Someone's working. I can't even do that.
Oh shit! I'm mad as fuck. Like I don't know.
It's gonna be.
I wouldn't watch it at that point. Like, I had a good idea. No, I would not watch that Exhibit. I would not watch a movie with Exhibit in 2020. Oh shit! At this point, then I would just have a Han origin story that doesn't go into the first. Like I believe because I made the comment that outside of the Marvel universe, I think that Fast and the Furious currently has the best universe. I'm more of a Fast and the Furious fan than a Mission Impossible fan.
Okay.
I do. The DC extended universe is falling apart.
They're struggling. They need to watch what they're doing.
Well, Ben Affleck's out of Batman, so now they're going with like a young Batman story, which is fine. They're doing an 80s Joker movie that has nothing to do with this current stuff. The Shazam movie is coming out. Don't know what that's going to be about. Aquaman's apparently good.
Shazam looks pretty good.
Yeah, but they've lost the element of a universe. Because I don't think we're getting a second Justice League.
I think we will.
With who?
What do you mean?
Ben Affleck's not coming
Get him
back.
out. Who gives a fuck?
So he's going to be like Hulk?
What? Yeah.
I watched the other. I watched
before.
I watched the other Hulk.
There's 3 Hulks.
Okay, so the first Hulk doesn't. The thing is, the
There's
first Hulk,
Edward Norton, and then there's I forget what.
Lou Ferrigno doesn't fucking count.
No, there was another dude. I thought it was like another dude.
All right, I know how you look. Lou Ferrigno is the original Hulk.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it doesn't count, but I'm talking about to the current universe that doesn't count.
I'm pretty sure it was 2 different.
You're talking about the dude that was from like 98?
It was 2004, and then it was like a 2008 one.
2008's the dude from Fight Club.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah, Norton.
Edward Norton, yeah.
That's Edward Norton's the original Hulk from this franchise.
He
like
did
Tony Stark's in that Tony Stark's in that movie, in the end credit scene.
Okay.
So that's an actual Marvel
But
cinematic.
it's not the same.
Because they changed actors.
Yeah, so we could do that for.
That's different. That's Marvel. DC's already fucking up. First thing, they're gonna lose Batman and Superman.
We don't. Who cares about them? You don't need to go ahead and use them. That's not the new foundation. We got a better.
Malachi understands. I'm not even a big DC fan. The problem with this in this is the 2 people that actors should want to have no matter what, should not just be walking away from is Superman and Batman.
Ben Affleck was a terrible Batman.
Ben Affleck was not that bad of a Batman.
What?
I don't think he was that bad. I think the movie was bad.
On top of Ben Affleck.
But I just didn't need Ben Affleck doing it. He just wants to ruin shit.
He was horrible. Daredevil.
It was a terrible. Oh God, I think that was a horrible movie.
That whole movie
they did like lame ass cutscenes of like hitting stuff that wasn't hitting. Like they're
The
just trying
problem
to do
is,
too comic.
think about this. There are people out here that don't want to give up roles like. Think about like Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool. What he went through to maintain Deadpool. For people that remember X2.
X2. No. He was in
Or was it Wolverine?
Wolverine Originals.
I thought it was 2.
I think it was the second one. Yeah, maybe.
The second Wolverine movie.
Yeah.
If you remember the Deadpool that was in that movie.
That was actually Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
It was Ryan Reynolds. Think about how much he had to go through to maintain the character to say, I'm going to do this movie right at some point.
He did Green Lantern, which.
Yeah, he did Green Lantern too.
He said I can do worse.
I can do worse. That was a bad movie.
We'll have to get a poll up at some point. Which was worse, Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern or Ryan Reynolds as the original Deadpool from the original Wolverine Origins?
But that was a real bad. That was a bad.
They were both terrible.
Yeah.
Because they in Wolverine Origins, if you don't remember, they did some shit to Deadpool where he couldn't talk.
But the Deadpool he was before he wasn't able to talk. He was the Deadpool like he is characterly like in the Deadpool.
Well, the idea is that because of the time rift that it changed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the biggest fuck you in the Marvel Fox cinematic universe. Is that?
So I thought Fox still owned Deadpool.
No,
For
they
the newest one.
for the next like half a year. Yeah, shit's about to change. So back over to the Fast and the Furious, what we were talking about real quick. So yeah, no, we can get a full universe kicking. The problem is there's not a lot of people left and this is the problem with this. Between the people they've killed off cinematically,
or the people that
one person has died. That's
That's it. But that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah,
That
it was
the
a big
main
deal.
character.
Yes,
I mean, now you're like, all right, now it's Vin Diesel
and The Rock.
and The Rock.
Actually, The Rock came out and said the idea is this is the problem with what they just did. The Rock was only here to get his solo movie, and I don't think The Rock is coming back for.
He's never going to be part of the franchise. He got it on just to get have that
now
title.
Statham might come back, but I don't think The Rock is coming back. I don't know what they do with Vin because I don't know what you do at this point. Because this is the issue with the people that like the franchise, including myself, is everybody's like, oh, we need to get back to racing. I am telling you now, the first time they go back to racing will be the last movie.
What last race?
yeah, that's gonna be it. Like, I don't know.
Death race remains the Fast and the Furious. Shit.
But yeah, that's my whole thing about that. Is if they go back to regular racing, that's the end of the series. So I do actually believe.
Bring back the two dudes, whatever they are.
That, again, the Luda Tyrese movie can bring them back.
I also don't want to see Tyrese after him bad mouthing that.
Oh.
So let's get back on to our last topic of the day before everything's said. Well, where's the 3 points? Before we get into the basketball.
No, hold on. What's going on? Do you think Shaggy's gonna get into Mortal Kombat? That's the other thing going on.
Oh, eventually.
Oh wow. What is he gonna do? Eat a Scooby snack and then like do something?
You didn't see the combat art. I mean, the concept art. This nigga kicking who's the dude that wears the yellow?
What?
Scorpion.
Scorpion.
Yeah, he was like fighting Scorpion.
You can't do that. He's like the scaredest motherfucker out there.
First thing, I found out where this came from. So apparently there's a new, like Scooby-Doo is basically like the superhero universe where they redo it every few years. Mm-hmm. So there was a new Scooby-Doo that's come out recently. And apparently one of the episodes, Shaggy was possessed by a witch. Mm-hmm. And he like beat the fuck up and killed like 40 people.
What? What is this on Cartoon Network? What? What is going on?
I'm just saying, I haven't seen it. I'm going to have to look into this myself. I admit I got to look into this because I'm a Scooby-Doo fan. Again, I'm a 90s kid, even though... the thing about being a 90s kid is Boomerang came out in the 90s. Yeah. So everybody's like, oh, you watched the little kid Scooby-Doo, which I watch and I appreciate in a way that some people don't appreciate the little ones when they were little kids. Yeah. But Boomerang came out, I was watching 50s cartoons.
But they were new. Old.
Bro, we was watching Tom and Jerry with they weren't talking. Oh yeah. Like Tom and Jerry talk now.
I know. Wait.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
There was like in the mid somewhere they did. We always if all the adults knew they smoked weed. I feel like that's the reason adults watch Scooby Doo with us. Mm-hmm. Just like I feel like adults that watch SpongeBob now at some point did psychedelic drugs and it's like, yeah, this brings me back. Mm-hmm. Like not just weed. Like you probably did something else. It's like, oh yeah, this is like my mushroom trip. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but no, like I said, that was the thing about growing up in the '90s because you had old school Roadrunner. The older Bugs Bunny stuff where stuff was still racist. That's the thing, is we were still watching the stuff that was still racist. Foghorn Leghorn is a fucking stereotype.
Yeah, that has some racist. Even Tom and Jerry, you would have the people beating with the broom and shit.
Bugs
Bunny. I remember the original Dumbo. Yeah. Like watching the original Dumbo and now seeing how sensitive people are now, I'm looking, now being now and seeing things like, all right, because I don't know what they're going to do with the Dumbo movie they're dropping, because the Crows ain't going to be there. What the fuck you going to do? Like the Crows are the most stereotypical jumbo-eating Louisiana black dudes you've ever heard of. But they can't do that now.
No, they ain't doing that.
Like I said, to me, that's part of this movie. Like as a black person, I'm saying that it is part of this movie.
You saying that they need to put that in there?
Sadly, you shouldn't remake the movie.
Okay, that was the first part.
Well, because you can't do it justice. Again, I watched the movie as a child and loved the movie as a child. I'm not going to change the fact that I laughed at those crows, even though I didn't understand what I was laughing at. Again, that's not even.
You don't really know. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not being black or white. If you were just a kid watching this movie, you did not understand the racial tension. Now, if you're an adult and you were dying at this, and you were white, like, oh yeah, I remember how we used to talk about them, and I ain't using the racial slurs, but you get what I'm saying. So, but yeah, as a kid, I don't have that big of an issue with it, but that's gonna be a big thing about because them crows were part of the movie. Like they weren't stars, but they were upper level B-list part of the movie. So, and there's tons of movies that are like kids movies like that where we have those stereotypes and stuff like that all over it. That's the most predominant one I remember. But if I can think of a couple other the kids movies. Yeah, that one was. But that's in a live. That's a live action.
Yeah. Everything about the character now is like,
That's on your parents, man. That's on your parents, man.
It was never TV.
It's the same thing with like was it Mr. Belvedere? That was a show predicated on racial humor. So isn't that the one? That was a short little black dude.
Different strokes too. No, Mr. Belvedere. You talking about Webster?
Yeah.
No, different strokes is.
Oh, different strokes is
Drummond got Arnold
Gilbert. No, what the fuck is that little? What is that little person's name? That's the nicest way I could put this because we'll get in a lot of trouble if I say it any other way.
James hasn't said anything.
I ain't.
Because as soon as he thought I was going to say the M word, he was probably going to get up and leave. R.I.P. Vern Troyer. I just wanted to make sure I showed my respect before we got into
All right,
it. It sounded wild.
That escalated from just talking about Scooby-Doo. I mean,
I was going to have time show the football game.
Oh no, we finished this football game. Y'all got my true feelings on that. I told you to get the 3 ready for I can answer those questions before we get to the basketball.
I feel like we answered a bunch of questions tonight.
Wait, no. To answer your question, yes, I think Shaggy at some point will be a DLC character.
why would you? Why? Shaggy's never done shit.
Because he's part of, and you didn't let me finish. Somebody posted the reason that he can be in Mortal Kombat.
He's a Warner brother. Yeah, fine.
He's part of Warner Brothers. Whatever gaming studio makes Mortal Kombat is also owned by Warner Brothers, so they are under the same umbrella.
Like
He
y'all.
would definitely be the most played with false character. Like
The only thing I can
I don't want like him like in the game. I would definitely always play with Shaggy. Like that would just be me.
Yeah.
the only thing that I can compare this to, and this is for the weird part of me that people know that I'm a NASCAR fan. I bought a NASCAR game. It was like NASCAR 2008 or 2009. And y'all remember how they used to have the UPS commercials with Dale Jarrett where he used to be like driving around in the truck? So the video game decided that the DLC, or one of the things they add to the game, is you can drive the big ass UPS truck in the game. And it drove like a fucking race car. Like it was just the same. Like it was just the same. Yeah.
That took everything out of it. I should have drove like a UPS truck. Definitely drive like a UPS truck.
Would have been like 40 miles an hour.
See? No, this was the worst.
Door open, everything. You should just drive like that.
And the biggest issue was, it was like, and just my cousin Eddie does nothing. He's a clean, straight edge dude, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, he doesn't do anything. But he was tired. So like when he used to come in town to chill with me, he's the one that took me to the only NASCAR race I've been to. He would usually come in and play the games with me. So one night it's up like 1 o'clock in the morning, we've been playing NASCAR for a few hours. And for some reason I switch over to the car, or to the truck, just to fuck with him. So I get it. I'm like, I start the race ahead of him, so he's behind me. He sees the truck in the middle of the stream. He starts laughing to the point that he has to quit. Because he can't take the fact that the truck is actually sitting there big. Again, the size of the NASCAR car is normal size for the game, and the truck is fucking huge.
That's speed though. You should drive the boat.
Yeah, you
can't be winning races in a U-Haul truck, man. I mean, in a
It's might as well say.
That's fun.
So yeah, that's how I look at Shaggy showing up in that game. Like this is like I'm not. First thing, it'd be one thing for Shaggy to show like the game that I've been playing a lot recently with my son, Super Smash Brothers. Even though there are people like Solid Snake who is in Super Smash Brothers weirdly, and he's out shooting people. Most of Super Smash Brothers is the idea that people like Sonic can fight Mario, and Pac-Man can fight Yoshi.
Yeah,
like you can do that. Like I said, there are some more adult game players in there, like Rosalina and Snake and people like that are from more adult-like games. But for the most part, this is a game of more kid-friendly video game characters fighting against each other.
Yeah.
There's no blood.
I don't want to finish the move on Shaggy.
Yeah, what's this? I don't want.
I was gonna say, how you feel about ripping Shaggy's head off?
But what is he gonna do? I'm gonna take off the mask. Like, guess who it is? And he rips off your whole skin.
I was gonna say, think about Shaggy ripping somebody's face off.
like old man, whatever. Like
Definitely any smoking someone. He's rolling.
Oh.
There's definitely a dude stunting in there.
that's
Scooby-Doo's a tag team somewhere.
yeah. He'll have to.
Oh.
Scooby-Doo's in it.
Do you have a favorite Shaggy meme real quick? Because I do.
I think it's funny that they're using the Scooby Doo movie and using they'll be like.
Oh, you mean the Freddy one?
Yeah, the Freddy ones and Daphne interviewed like Shaggy used to look at me one way and he got the whole room pregnant. I'm like, what? Like, what the fuck is this? I was like,
Bro,
why is this?
You know what gets me is this one was like there was another one. It was like the Arnold ones where the Arnold ones started popping up and I didn't understand what was going on, and then it just came and kept on coming. And that's what happened with the Shaggy ones is I didn't know. I just didn't know what was coming.
Yeah.
I saw one or two Shaggy memes. Like, all right, there's a Shaggy meme. Aha, that's funny.
Yeah.
Then, like, 3 days later, I'm like, no, this Shaggy thing has started something. And then I found out later that it stemmed from the people wanting them to be in Mortal Kombat. Like, oh, just because Shaggy doesn't need vaccines doesn't mean your children don't.
Oh,
That's
yeah, I've
that's one
seen
of the ones
some of those. I'm like, what the fuck is...
Like, that was one of them. Like, oh. But no, my favorite, I got 3. I'm looking at one now. It's the Grim Reaper when he's usually going down and killing all the memes. And then Shaggy opens the door and knocks him the fuck out.
Okay.
Then what was the other one? There was another Shaggy meme. Oh, this one is one of my favorites. Shaggy was like, I went to the doctor out once to get some kidney stones removed. Apparently the stones took some of my power with them, and eventually they turned into the Infinity Stones.
Oh, get out of here. I saw that one too.
I
Yep.
was like,
Yo, yeah.
And the worst part about it is when I read it so calmly that it was kind of a problem. I was like, how did he just say that? Oh, this is one of my favorite ones. I remember when Pokemon Go came out and Shaggy caught all 802 from a landline phone.
Yeah, from a landline. What is this?
I was like, what the fuck? So like, yo, this whole thing with Shaggy just went too far. There was another one. I'll have to find that one later. But these ones with Shaggy just went too far, bro. Like,
It's just too much.
oh, did you see this one? Only you, like you're.
Yo, come on. Yo, get out of here. No. Okay.
For like I said, there's just too many. They're crossing. They're going for superheroes. The one I just showed him was a Naruto-based meme. Like, oh wait, this is just a flat fucking lie. I don't care if he's immortal or not. This is one of the ones where Freddy's reading it off. I'm not lying. I'm not lying when I say this. I saw Shaggy eat an entire 6-pack of Popeye's biscuits without any water.
Y'all can't do that.
That's a lie. That's physically impossible. Popeyes won't even sell you that like that without giving you a complimentary drink with it, just to make sure they're not. Oh, this was one of the first ones I saw, and I didn't understand what was going on. This might be the first one I saw. Shaggy has a permanent N-word pass. Oh, I didn't understand where the fuck that came from.
Was that was that Fred saying
that? It was
that?
a Freddy one. But it was like it was either the first or second one I had seen. And I'm like, wait, what is going on?
Yo.
Like, oh, I was like, it just, because the first one I saw, and this one was funny because it was just a random meme. I'm like, I get this one. It just was a picture of Shaggy and it said it wasn't me. I was like, all right, that's funny. It came out of nowhere. That was the very first one I saw, and had nothing to do with anything. I was like, that could just be a random one-off meme. Yeah. And everything else came after that, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Then at some point, I saw the concept art to Mortal Kombat, and it's like, there's a petition to get him on Mortal Kombat, and I'm like, why? Like, I still don't have that. I don't have whoever was the first person to come out and say Shaggy should be a Mortal Kombat character.
There has to be some type of like Shaggy.
And what the hell happened to you while you were watching Scooby-Doo one day, where you're like, I want Shaggy to rip somebody's fucking skull off? We must be making you do some demonic shit if you want Shaggy to finish somebody.
No.
like are you ready for
squish him in the sandwich and just eat it?
Guaranteed. The sandwich is part of the finishing move.
Put a top of olive, yo.
Guaranteed.
Like,
shoot, what that's just ridiculous.
The whole thing is ridiculous.
Or maybe throws Scooby snacks down people's throats, and Scrappy, Scooby. Who was the other one? There was that the Goofy one. He was a little special. I forget his name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. That was that one episode. That was whenever it was just Scooby, Scrappy, and Shaggy.
I don't know the scene well enough, but you remember technically the 6th, but the 3rd Star Wars movie, the most recent out of the original.
Han Solo.
The last movie?
Out of the original 6, well,
The original, like
6.
4, 5, and 6. Yeah, the last one of the original.
No, the second trilogy. 1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3.
The last fight of 3, wherever they're fighting, and Anakin's
the magma.
and he's in the magma part.
Yeah.
They have one where Scooby's apparently like trying to like go after Shaggy, and he's like, da 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 da, and then Shaggy's down there like, you don't understand the extent of my power, and I'm like, well, no matter what this meme is, Anakin ends up with like half his body gone.
Yeah.
And he turns into Darth Vader, meaning that they think it's Shaggy turns into Darth Vader, and I don't know what happens to Scooby at that point. That whole meme is just too deep.
That's.
And I'm not even a Star Wars fan, but that part of Star Wars, even if you don't like those movies, is pretty deep. And the idea of what happens with the entire story.
I think they should just avoid it. I think there's a lot more. There's a lot of Warner Brother people that you could probably get in there. I don't know. I think they just roll.
It's too late, man. First thing, you know why you need to do it? Because people will pay for it.
You gotta put somebody else. If you're gonna put some corny ass shit like that, you gotta put other. You can just like leave me with like just that as one DLC. I need a couple other people too. I'm not paying for just Shaggy.
Hey man, all I know is if Shaggy makes it into Mortal Kombat, then Crash Bandicoot could get into Smash.
Whoopsie dude.
Whoopsie dude, that's his name. Okay. It's Whoopsie dude. Yeah. Because that was red shirt Shaggy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the other like that's the alternate universe Shaggy.
Yeah, see, now I need the green shirt.
Yeah, it wasn't the green shirt.
Olive green.
The olive green, yeah.
Olive green is it's Shaggy.
Yeah.
Period. If you wear a green shirt like that, Shaggy dude is what you get compared to off top.
Yeah.
As soon as you wear that green shirt, you're like, okay, Shaggy.
It's the same thing with like if you get the red and white striped shirt, like your Waldo.